Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengals fan on most of the major platforms. And as you can see, we are joined by my partner in crime, Sam Schneider, Primetime Sports Talk. And this is another episode of Jungle Talk. And I'm gonna clap because our boys didn't quit. It was an exciting game. But man, what a heartbreaker. We are not blowing the victory horn. The AFC North is still within our reach. With Baltimore, I heard that Lamar Jackson has a high ankle sprain. He probably is out at least a couple weeks.
I think it's a low ankle sprain, actually, but still.
I heard high. So we'll see. But still,
yeah, he still might miss a week or two.
We win next week in Denver. We we'll come back home, beat Baltimore for the sweep. The Chiefs game we could afford to lose, but maybe it doesn't mean anything to the Chiefs by then. And then we beat Cleveland, and we will be the AFC North champion. So that's the road. So
yeah,
but
I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, this is not a death knell. You know what I mean? It's not like just because we lost today to San Francisco, we're done. Actually, the team showed a little bit of heart.
Showed a lot of bit of heart.
The play calling in the first half kind of blew.
Well, definitely blew, not kind of.
Yeah, the play calling in the second half, I thought generally was pretty good. If not, definitely not outstanding. But you can't. Zach Taylor's not on the field. He's not throwing interceptions. He's not muffin punts. Which I know we're going to get into.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't listen, guys, we gift wrapped 10 points. We lost in overtime.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So that's your game. The muff punts. I mean, we played, our defense did everything we asked except force a turnover. We can't guarantee that we're going to force turnovers, but they did everything we asked of them. They were let down by our special teams in the first half. They were let down by our offense for the first half and most of the third quarter. I'll say it wasn't until the fourth quarter where we opened it up. Why weren't we throwing it to our receivers over the middle all game? Why did it take for us to get down to where we were down to our last two possessions to air it out? But we're going to get into all that. As we already started, should we tell them where you can find your stuff, or you just want to save that for the end? Or
I'll say it right now. I write for Primetime Sports Talk. You can find me on Twitter at Buy and Sell You. You can find Mark on Twitter at LA Bengals Fan. You could find my work on primetimesportstalk.com or at Talk Primetime.
All right. And I've got a LA Bengal Fan Facebook page as well. So please like that page if your preference is Facebook and not Twitter. So this was a very, very disappointing start.
I like the heavy sigh. I like the heavy sigh because that's exactly how I feel right now.
It was, if my hair looks a little messed up, I was yanking on it the whole afternoon. Okay.
Right.
I'm surprised I still have hair. Okay.
Right.
And what's left is getting grayer by the minute. I mean, this game, it was so disappointing to start. We actually we 3 and out. Like I said, our defense played great all game. 3 and out, get the ball.
And they shut them out for the second half until overtime.
Right.
Shut them out.
Yeah. We get the ball at midfield. We can't even pick up one first down to get into Evan Almighty range, to even try a field goal. And we end up punting it back to them. It was just, and then when we do force another punt, guess what? We start getting into the we can't catch punts mode. I mean, Darius Phillips underplayed one that led to points. Then again, right through his hands when he had it right. Stanley Morgan dropped one. I mean, finally, we just put Tyler Boyd back there.
Yeah.
Somebody back there who will catch the freaking ball.
Yeah,
it was.
I don't blame the coaching staff at all for being like, you know what, Tyler, you're going to catch this punt, and he's probably like, I've never caught a punt in my life,
right.
And they're probably like, we don't care, and get back there, catch the ball, just do one of these, just wave,
you know what,
catch the ball. That's all you have to do.
You could sense it in the second half of the game. When the ball went through the end zone on a kickoff, the crowd cheered. because we didn't attempt to return it.
Right.
It was like, oh, okay, our offense will actually get on the field this time. It's so deflating for a team to have your defense stop the opponent, and then you're getting the ball back and you put the defense right back out on the field on a short field. I mean, that was so bad. And then let's go into the taunt. We could have gotten into the locker room at 10-6, maybe 10-9. And what happens? Von Bell has to point his finger and taunt right in front of the official. And that cost us a touchdown. Instead of giving up 3 points to the Niners, we give up a touchdown. That was a 4-point blunder. So, I mean, you're talking about the 10 points off turnovers. You're talking about the 4 points we gift wrapped, right before half. I mean, there's your game. I mean, we don't even have to start talking about how we had no answer for their front four. We don't have to start talking about how we had no answer for George Kittle. And on two of our most important third downs in the second half, that's the drive late in the third quarter when we're getting ready to score, we decide we're going to block straight up on offense, and Burrow takes a sack. The first one in the third quarter cost us a McPherson field goal because Evan Almighty missed it, but we added 8 or 10 yards to the kick. So how big was that field goal? And then the other one cost us, we had to punt the ball. So it's just, I'm telling you, it was so nerve-wracking. That was so nerve-wracking. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to let you vent for a little bit. This is very therapeutic for us to do this because it's so frustrating, but I'm going to let you vent a little bit now because I'm going to take a breath, drink a little vitamin water, and collect myself for my next tidal wave.
Right. Well, I mean, you said, a lot of what I was thinking. And the George Kittle thing didn't surprise me because we were so damaged at linebacker. With Logan Wilson out, obviously a couple of weeks ago, we lost Akeem Davis-Gaither. Marcus Bailey wasn't even there to fill in today. So we had Jermaine Pratt, who I love, who had a fantastic game last week. And I haven't looked at his PFF score, but I'm guessing he had a great game again today. Not that I always put that much stock in the PFF.
Nine tackles, 4 solo.
There you go. And
2 passes defended. Or 1 pass defended.
And the taunting penalty is so frustrating because he just did it. Von Bell just did that. 3 weeks ago?
Chicago. He did it. He was the one who stood over Dalton after we had the play done and ended up giving him a first down when they would have punted from inside the 5. That was one of the 3 plays that I said cost us that game. Logan Wilson not falling on it, and the Von Bell, because it was a complete. We would have gotten points going into half. It wouldn't have been 7-0 at half.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. And I was talking about this earlier today. It's one of those things where what he got called for on the taunting penalty, it looks piddly. It doesn't look like much of anything at all. But the league did come out and say, this year we are cracking down on taunting, and players need to know that and need to be cognizant of how to act on the field. I mean, Bell didn't really do much of anything. He said 2 words and threw 1 finger up, and if you do that in front of a ref, he's going to throw a flag.
Oh, he was actually walking by the referee when he did it.
Yeah. And that cost us dramatically today.
Yes.
And so that's a tough pill to swallow from a veteran. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're a veteran. You're supposed to be leading this team and showing everybody that you recognize there are new rules, there are new changes to the league, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could talk till I'm blue in the face. Obviously, it's hindsight at this point.
Right.
So, that upset me a lot. I also, if I can, finish my diatribe, Mark.
Please do.
If I can, I've already seen online a lot of people saying, Zach Taylor's got to go. And I'm like, you know what? Zach Taylor didn't muff 3 punts He didn't make any fumbles. He didn't toss a pick. He didn't blow any coverage assignments on the offensive line. He wasn't playing linebacker, of which we have none. Everybody just, I think everybody just needs to cool down.
Right.
It's one game, and even though we went down very, very early, we made a good comeback, which I like to see out of how
the
old
fourth youngest team in the league, I'm told.
Well, fourth youngest team in the league. That's right. Broken record take of the week. Let's do it. We still made that comeback, and we still, performed admirably. The defense shut out the offense of San Francisco in the second half until overtime. And I don't know. I'm not really a glass half full guy. But these are things that you look back on and are encouraged by. So, boy, it was really, really frustrating. Right. And I think anybody watching can tell that you and I are both really, really frustrated right now.
It was,
but it is what it is. I mean, we can't go back and change it.
No, there were three. Our offensive line had no answer against their front four. They just didn't.
Especially Bosa. Bosa.
And I was going to get it. And our defense had no answer against Kittle. And the Bosa catching Burrow from behind on that third down when we're at the 20-yard line in overtime, that basically cost us. We could have gone in. Burrow is about to either run for the first down or throw it, because he's got, I think it was Perrine. I think it was somebody came out of the backfield that was in front of him, and he's about to loft it, and Bosa catches it from behind. Bosa wreaked havoc all day. That was a huge play. The Niners can point to that and say, hey, he saved the game, because we score a touchdown, game's over.
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning that, just like I talked about how I don't want to blame this all on Zach Taylor. I always get hammered when I say anything about Joe Burrow not doing a great job. But today he was good. And I understand the dude's got a busted finger. I get it. You know what I mean? But when you've got a guy like Bosa lining up against you, you have to be aware of where that guy is. You have to understand where he is. You have to understand which guy on your offensive line is not feeling their best that day. I don't know. I would assume as a quarterback, you're like, hey, my right guard is not having a good day right now. So I'm always going to watch that side. But Burrow didn't have his best game. And again, I know he's got a dislocated finger. And I totally get that, but these are still growing pains for him.
I thought Burrow did the best he could, given the fact that he was under siege most of the day. I didn't.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
And he's, to me, I mean, obviously he's a stud. The guy, when it was crunch time, he put up 2 straight touchdowns, and he leads a drive all the way downfield for the field goal, just short of it. We needed to stop from the D, and Kittle made just what was an amazing catch to get him to the 30-yard line, and that sets up the touchdown. But I mean, otherwise, we're going to force a possible, maybe Robbie Gould ties the game and we get the ball back and have time, or maybe Robbie Gould misses it. We saw his effort right before the end of the game on a long 40+
yeah,
run.
when he
wasn't even close. So
he sliced it. He sliced it bad.
So but it was just, like I said, we gift wrap. It's hard to overcome what we did in terms of the Von Bell 4 points gifted and the 10 points we gave on turnovers. I think overcome. And Zach, I'm not calling for Zach to be fired, but come on, let's make the adjustments at halftime, not late in the third when your back's up against the wall. I thought the play calling for the first half plus the 2/3 of the third quarter was terrible. I was just way too conservative. Stop running Mixon, up the middle on first down against a team that's front four is just stuffing it. I get it once in a while, work one in, but we just always seem to be in 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, and that doesn't help Joe out. Joe needs to be in 2nd and 5, and we can, like I said, it's just so Zach has some blame today. But you're right.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's not linebacker, and he's certainly not an offensive lineman. And but I thought the scheming could have been better. I thought that Shanahan schemed well to keep down because he was trying to protect 2 rookie corners. So he schemed a plan that took pressure off them for most of the game. I'm disappointed that it took us late in the third to adjust to that. That should have been done earlier.
Yeah, and I think eventually, like you said, it was probably late in the third by the time that we got a handle on our play calling, when it should have been more like halftime. I mean, obviously you want it to be earlier than that, but generally we've made pretty good adjustments this season at the half, and you're absolutely right. I mean, we just, for whatever reason, we just didn't quite get there. It's almost like we either run a draw up the middle or we try to throw a bomb to Jamar. It's almost like there's almost nothing in between. Thank God for T. Higgins, because he had a great game. And kept us in the game. You know what I mean? I mean, really did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough to watch. I wrote in my picks article, I was telling you earlier, I wrote that I thought this was going to be a really boring game that culminated with a very exciting finish. And damned if I wasn't right.
Yeah,
it was boring.
Oh, it was frustrating.
Yeah, and then finally the Bengals came back, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, what? Now we got a game." But
well, Zach has never won a game when going into the fourth quarter trailing, and
I heard
he
that
got close, but he still hasn't won a game going into the fourth quarter trailing. Here's the thing about firing coaches, so we can put this conversation to rest. When the players quit on him and stop playing, that's when you fire your coach. They're playing for him. They came back. They never quit. They believe in him. We're going to keep, like I said, Zach and everybody else is growing together, and we're going to continue doing that. So under no circumstance do you move Zach. I just hope he learns so we don't have to, outside of the Steeler game, I'm trying to think of a game in Detroit. I'm trying to think of a game where we didn't have to sit there and say, oh no, here we go again. I mean, last week, 24-22, and once again, we fumble it away. So I don't know what you do with Darius Phillips. I don't want to see him back there.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm so angry. I'm not even angry. I'm just because I want to like Darius Phillips. I really, really do. But he just keeps proving me wrong. He keeps proving me wrong every single time.
One of them you accept, I know he backed up too much. It's like a center fielder going back on a fly ball and then having to charge in because he backed up too much and he didn't have his feet under him. But the second one, it's just right through his hands, and then Stanley Morgan. And it's just like everything. That kind of stuff is infectious. It just starts bleeding over. But our special teams was anything.
Stanley Morgan is like 12 years old. I don't even understand why they even put him back there. I understand that they probably did it in practice a couple times to see how he would do. Okay, great. I get it. Maybe you know more than I do. I haven't watched all your practices and everything.
Right.
But Stanley Morgan is a young dude. I don't understand in an important game why you're like, okay, yeah, Phillips out, Morgan in. Why would you do that?
Well, Morgan was in on the kickoff returns. So we had Phillips out there for the punt returns. And then after the second one, it was the second half, our very first punt, Tyler Boyd was back there. But I don't mind if we use Tyler Boyd for the next couple of weeks, because we cannot afford to give away points. We need to win in Denver next week. This is exactly what Denver needs to beat us. We have the better team. We can put up way more points than Denver can put up. They're going to be coming off an emotional letdown next week, and we'll cover all this in our preview. But we cannot afford to gift wrap 2 muffed punts for Denver next week. We can't.
Right.
This has to stop. This fumbling thing has to stop today. And then you could see the Niners going after the ball. It was like every time our guys got hit, I was like, hold the freaking ball. Right. Because it just seemed like, Burrow was losing one. It's an infection. It's a cancer that you just got to get rid of. So just frustrating. I want to say something positive, but the last negative thing I have to say is I think we win this game if Hendrickson doesn't get hurt. He gets hurt right before half. Sample comes in and does an adequate job, but we didn't get as much pressure on Garoppolo. And I think if we have Hendrickson pushing in that overtime period, they don't drive down the field on us. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's not long term. That's all.
Yeah, and you're talking about a guy that in Hendrickson that we discussed it last week when I said that I thought that was one of the best Cincinnati signings in years. He's got a ton of sacks. I don't even remember how many.
I think he got his 12th straight today. And it was on the very first series. He got it on the very first series. We sacked Garoppolo on the 3-and-out.
And he also was leading, I think going in today, he was leading the NFL in quarterback pressures.
Yes.
You cannot duplicate that. Even if you don't take down the quarterback pressures are a huge deal. I mean, that's gigantic. And it was the only thing that makes me wary is I know they brought the card out for him. He didn't use it. He got up under his own power and walked off the field, but it's a back injury.
Right. No.
Yeah. Back injury. That doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound good.
I mean, I'm hoping it's something they pop him back in place. Cause I go to a chiropractor every couple of weeks because I have issues between L4 and L5 and it's a maintenance thing for me. So I can swing a golf club, but it's going in and getting adjusted. So it can be one of those things that's treatment, chiropractic and treatment. But if it's anything muscular, it's going to be a little while. It's just like a hamstring. The back muscles have to relax, and you get these nerve bundles right near your spine. It's like I said, we're going to find out. It's
I would assume he's probably definitely going to be a no for next week. Let's just hope that it's not a no for the rest of the season.
Right. Yeah, that's all. I don't think it will be because he walked off. Because when you throw your back out, you need help. I mean, you're completely immobilized.
Yeah, but I mean, people tear ACLs and walk off the field.
Yeah, but the back
and then an hour later, you're like, that guy's gone.
Take it from somebody who has lower back issue. Everything, sneezing, sitting, laying down, everything hurts when you're talking about your lower back. Everything's connected to it. So I'm
well aware. I think we're dating ourselves.
No. I already admitted.
I'm well aware of the plight.
Hey, I'm a fan from the beginning. So that goes back to 68. So that makes me an old dude. So I don't want to be completely negative on everything. No. Because I want to say, number one, Burrow's a stud. He's clutch. When you come in and you're down 20-6 and you drive 2 straight drives and get us tied up and get into overtime, and then get the ball and drive us in for a score, that's clutch.
Can I jump on that? Real quick? Also, when before Robbie Gould missed that field goal at the end of the game, Burrow was pacing back and forth on the sideline, and you could tell he was just thinking, just give me the football one more time. Give me the football one more time. It didn't work out, but you want that out of your quarterback. You want that. Give me the football one more time. I mean, he was just back and forth and back and forth. So,
and I want to point out that our defense did everything we asked of them. They played stellar. completely up until overtime. I mean, literally, we gave up 3 points in the second half. They did everything they could to keep us in this game, and I give our boys credit for hanging in there, not quitting.
Right.
So those are 3 positive things we can draw from. We need to win next week. And we just got to, collect ourselves. There's not the head hanging that there was like after the Browns game.
Right.
And then last week, you could definitely see, I mean, I was hoping Mixon would do more. I don't think Mixon was 100% today.
I don't think so either.
I think we should have played P. Ryan more. He seemed to run harder. I don't think that's any fault of Joe, but he was out most of the week with illness. So I don't think he was 100%. I was really hoping he'd make up for that fumble last week, because literally I think that was the pivotal play that cost us the game. So we've had these games where we've gift wrapped just too much to overcome.
I don't think
that's got to stop.
I don't think Mixon actually practiced at all this week.
He didn't.
I'm
all week.
Pretty sure he was a scratch every day in practice. It was a game time decision coming into today. So, credit to him for giving the effort, but you know how players are. They say, I want to play, coach. I want to play. I want to play. And a lot of times the coach caves because you think you got a better shot. But you could see in the second half today, P. Ryan started getting a lot more carries.
Right.
And I was like, Joe's not right. We all know Joe's not right. That's why P. Ryan keeps getting the carries. I also wanted to mention one other thing, which I've said before, and I will say again. Eli Apple is playing really good football. He's playing really, really well. He got hurt today and still came back.
Yeah.
Still came back. He's playing unbelievable football after I have just damaged him for weeks.
He had a chance at a pick that would have saved us some points, and didn't make it. And Bates has a chance when they're trying to get Gold into position for the field goal attempt right at the end of regulation. Bates jumps the route. If he catches that, he runs right by George Kittle. I mean, there is nothing in his way. We win the game right there in regulation.
Well, Mark, that's why they play defense and not wide receiver.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But Bates usually catches those. Apple usually doesn't. But I'm just happy that from earlier in the year when Apple was actually committing a penalty to not let the guy catch the ball, is actually trying to make a play on the ball now. So I don't know if Anarumo's been coaching him or some kind of switch in his brain went off, but whatever it is, he's actually trying to make plays on the ball now, which I really appreciate. So yes, Eli Apple played good today. And I was nice to see a Woozier out there. We didn't know if we were going to have him today.
And he played great. And he played great.
Our defense, like I said, the only thing our defense didn't do today was stop George Kittle, which we knew was going to be a problem, and get a turnover. If they had just gotten us one turnover, I think that would have helped us out a lot. But you can't expect turnover. So,
and
they did everything they could, holding them to 20 points in regulation. We've been scoring an average of 26, 27 points a game. We had 6 late in the third quarter. So,
and you can expect. I think at least for me, I subscribe to the theory of bend but don't break.
Right.
We give up a field goal, fine. We give up a touchdown on a really long drive, not a big play. I'll deal with it. That's fine. The defense is gassed or whatever. The problem is, I also subscribe to the theory that you cannot strand your defense on the field. And that's exactly what our special teams did today. Yes. They stranded our defense on the field. Those guys were gassed. They were beat. They were given a really short field. And still, at the end of the fourth quarter, before overtime, they still had only given up 20 points. That's pretty phenomenal, actually.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't want to lose sight of the fact about how well our defense played, that our guys didn't quit, and that Burrow's clutch. That's what we have to. Those are the nuggets that I want everybody to take away from this game as we go to Denver next week in what now is a must-win game for us next week. But next week's game is winnable. And this team has played well on the road. They had a brain fart where they lost 2 in a row. We've had another brain fart where we've lost another 2 in a row. And both of these games we could have won. And clearly the Jet game we could have won. I know that we were completely blown off our own field by the Browns, but the Jet game we could have won. So these are we have to, like I said, we're still have relevant football to be played, and the North Crown is still within our reach. So
I think my one nugget that I want to throw in there, if you don't mind, is that we went back to Chase a lot more today, and he almost had a really great game. He had that one touchdown that was nullified because he trapped it.
Right.
But I think it's worth noting that, Joe is a young quarterback, and he likes Chase because they have that rapport from college. But I love seeing the last 2 weeks. I mean, last week, T. Higgins was enormous. This week, his stats weren't as good, but he was enormous in clutch situations.
Right.
And Burrow is also going to Boyd a lot more too.
Right.
And I like that, the fact that he's, spreading the ball around a little more, because I think that's necessary. I think he's recognized the teams are trying to take Jamar out of the game. So he's finally, not relying on him, and he's going to his other guys. And Higgins is playing really, really good football right now. Yeah. I mean, his routes are crisp. He's beating the zone. He looks great in there. So that's really exciting moving forward.
Yeah, the ball distribution was actually pretty good today. Higgins was 5 for 114 and no touchdowns. Jamar was 5 for 77 with the 2 touchdowns, one of them being that ad lib play. And that's what you get when you have players that have this long rapport together, as you get. He was there to help his quarterback, but Uzama had 4, Boyd had 4, Perrine had 4. I mean, there's good ball distribution. So Burrow is spreading the ball out.
And that's good to see. That's really, especially from a young quarterback. That's great to see, because it's easy to use, the guy that very well as your crutch.
Right. So, so next week we've got to bring it. I mean, if the run defense, because we've got a bruising running back coming up next week. This guy's really good after contact. So we have, if our running defense can do what they did today, and we can put up 24 or more points, we should win in Denver next week.
Right.
Because I don't believe in Bridgewater or Locke or that offense. You need to help them. Today they beat up a Detroit team that had nobody playing for them, essentially. And they also had with Demaryius Thomas, and we all should, Demaryius Thomas was a class individual. I have a friend of mine who lives in Denver. He's a huge Bronco fan. This guy did a ton in the community. He was loved by so many people on all the teams. They were playing for him today. But next week,
rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. It's just
33
years old.
Is so young.
So
so young.
But so Denver was playing, an inspired game today for him. They actually lined up, I think, with 10 players and left one spot open when they initially came out on the field, because so it's but we need to go in there. This is a must win against Denver next week. That's our roadmap is we got to win 3 of the next 4, and it starts with Denver and Baltimore, which I think are both winnable games. So we had our 2-game brain fart, and we're going to preview up the Denver one. So coming up, and that's it. It's hard, at least you can watch. You don't hang your head. I mean, we lost in overtime with less than a minute left in overtime.
San Francisco is not a bad team either. No, it's not like we lost to a bunch of slugs. You know what I mean?
No. But, like I said, Kyle Shanahan, I'm always concerned about him because he will scheme up. He's a good coach. And if you don't believe me, just watch some of the games last year when he was winning with Sean Mannion and some of these guys. I mean, it was amazing what he was, the rabbits he pulled out of his what. So he came out here. Oh, he protected 2 rookie corners that we should have abused for the first 3 quarters. We didn't. And that had to do with his scheme. So, so give the guy credit. But yeah, you're right. This is a playoff team. The Niners are a playoff team. This was our extra game that they added. And you know why this is why I hate the strength of schedule comment. This was our add-in game because the Niners were so beat up last year. They were last place. And one of your fill-in games is the other last place teams. And we didn't play the West. So this was a hell of a tough fill-in game for us having a last place schedule and getting the Niners, but they were the same thing. They're, so.
And the only reason they were a last place team was because they had so many injuries.
Oh, everybody
so
was
many injuries.
I think their entire defensive line was out at one point. They played an entirely new, and their offensive line.
They lost Kittle for like 6 or 7 games also, and
key
I
offensive
I don't think they even had a wide receiver for 6 weeks.
Yeah. So. But and we did a pretty good job on Deebo Samuel. I mean, he had his couple plays, but it wasn't like it was Kittle who killed us. I mean, we had no answer for him.
Yeah, Samuel actually, I think his biggest plays were mostly runs.
Yeah,
they weren't even catches. It was either a swing pass or a reverse or a direct handoff.
8 for 37 and 1 for 22. That's all he's got. So we kept him in check, but Kittle's 13 for 151, and he was just a death blow in overtime. So there you have it. So remind everybody where they can find your stuff.
You know what? Instead of doing that, Mark, I'm going to say, hit that subscribe button right down there, right. People. Turn on the notifications.
Hit the bell. Bing.
Like and share it with your friends. And please comment down below so that we can react to you, because Mark and I read all of those comments. You can find me on Twitter at Buy and Sell You. You can find Mark on Twitter and pretty much any other major platform. LA Bengals fan. But if you comment down here, we will answer you.
We do our best. I sometimes I get busy in work and I can only give you a thumbs up. But when I have a chance and I sit down, you can go look at any of the weeks and you will see Sam and I do our best to try to respond to everybody. So
absolutely, we love it. We love it when you guys watch.
It's all about, and you can engage with the other people because there's a lot of back and forth. So with that, we will be back on Thursday with our preview of the Denver game coming up, our must-win game next week. And with that, I'm going to say, hoo day, everybody.
Hoo day.
Take care.